golf was my life, and I didn't want to give it up. So I went to work.
And remember the name, for at just 9 years of age, Rory McIlroy from Hollywood is following in the steps of his golfing hero, Tiger Woods.
Oh my goodness. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Welcome to episode 1 of Making a Club Champion podcast. For those of you who don't know me or have never heard my voice, my name's Chris Baker, and I'm delighted for you to be sharing your time on this very first episode. I'm just like the average club golfer trying to get better, but my job is to interview guys on tour, top psychologists, fitness coaches, master club makers, and many more top performers in the field of golf, and I share their journeys of how they got to where they are and give you, the listener, and me myself, the tactical, practical, routines, strategies, drills, philosophies for you to implement and experiment in your own game to make your practice time more effective. In this very first episode, I was delighted to have a gentleman called Matt Wallace on the show. If you've never heard of Matt, let me introduce you to some of his achievements. He was the first player, and probably the last, to win 5 consecutive starts on the Alps Tour in 2016. He's currently ranked 225 in the world, and is currently playing on the Challenge Tour. In this very first episode, we dive into how he goes about getting sponsorship through his social media accounts, which included the likes of Chubby Chandler's company, ISM, and Tufa. What life is really like on tour, the ins and outs, and behind the scenes, and how he doesn't set goals, and how he actually went about winning his 5 consecutive starts on the Alps Tour. There's many wonderful actions and gems and goodies for you to implement in your own game here, so I hope you enjoy, and welcome to Making a Club Champion podcast. Matt Wallace, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello. So 2016... you got to 247 in the world, ahead of Tiger Woods, 5 consecutive wins on the Alps Tour, and is it not a finish lower than 4th in 8 starts?
Yeah, 9 starts, so 6 wins, a 2nd, 3rd, and a 4th out of 9 starts.
Firstly, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was quite a year.
I think I told you I was caddying for a chap called Matt Perry on the final of the European Tour qualifying school.
Yeah.
We were playing with a guy called, he's a Spanish guy. He's one of the best short games I've ever seen, probably behind really? Oscar Sharp's Denito.
Yeah, and Enrico.
Italian. Italian.
Yeah.
Incredible short game. And I asked him, because he was on the Alps Tour as well, and I asked him about, have you heard of Matt Wallace? And he just looked at me and looked down at his feet and just said, that guy's putting, God. So was that would you sort of 6 wins?
I was looking at my stats, funnily enough, the other day from last year. My average for last year's putting was about 29 putts per round, which, I mean, if you look at the guys on tour in a tournament, say on the PGA Tour this week, they might be down at like 28, or if they have a really good week, 27 point something. But so 29 is quite good. But last year, mainly it was hitting greens in regulation and giving myself the chances like that. I think I was up in the 85% mark on greens in regulation. And then when I did hit green in regulation, my conversion rate was really high. So I made a lot of birdies last year and a stroke average of 68 point something, I think it was, or 67 point. Yeah, somewhere quite low. And it was quite an amazing year.
So obviously there's 2 elements to that. So obviously you were your course management was quite exceptional, but also you still had to execute once you put it in the right spots on the greens. So how would you, what were you doing sort of in practice sessions regards to course management, and how, and part two would be what were you doing sort of on the practice green or putting green to sort of execute on those possible, opportunities which you were giving yourself?
Yeah, well, luckily I'd played a few of the golf courses before, but with regards to a new course, let's say, you have to be really focused on where you're going to be positioning the ball. Like, you also know how well you're playing at the time, so you know what shot you can pull off. But you've got to, with me, I get my course planner. Say you're on a new hole, you look at it, you visualize the shot you want to hit. You look on the course planner where you'd like to be, how you'd like to play the hole. And then you've kind of got to just try and relax and just try and pick your way around the golf course, because you're not always going to hit the best shot, And it's like, say, with club golfers, they know their course really well and they know where to hit it and where they can't hit it. But you've got to commit to your lines, And with regards to my practice and on the putting and stuff, putting was key for me last year. So I spend most of my time on the putting green, working out the slopes, or am I going to have a lot of breaking putts this week? Go and do a lot of work on those, and that was basically how I went about every week. There was nothing different. I didn't do anything different for a different course, so I went about doing the same stuff a lot. So it seemed to work, and I'm going to carry that on for this year.
So you don't sort of overcomplicate things, or?
I don't think you should. I mean, the game is hard enough as it is. So to make it as simple as possible is massive. I'd really get into like how I'd want to play certain holes, and if I should attack and if I should play safe. Everyone knows if the hole is hard, you can just tell. So sometimes you say, right, if I get a good drive away here, we'll play to the centre of the green, and then when it comes to putting, you can hold putts from anywhere. Anyone knows that. So then you take the pressure off yourself by actually saying, I don't need to put it close. Let's get it on the green and take our chances from there.
Right. Yeah, I think it was the second round of European Tour School. I sort of paused and stopped at a second, and I was on the putting green, and I think I witnessed, and there was probably 15, 20 pros on the putting green, and I think probably 80, even 90% of them had some sort of putting aid or tool aid, or they were working on something, and I just wondered if that was actually hindering them, if they were getting too complicated just before the round.
There's a difference between block practice, which is what they do, and I do that as well. I've got a putting mat that I think I swear by it. I think it's amazing. Like, it's got your path. It's called the Visio MI template from Visio. Harold Swash and Phil Kenyon. It's one of their mats. My putting coach from England was Phil Kenyon, and now I'm seeing Mike Kansky up in Formby. And it's a putting mat, and it shows the path and where the face should be pointing at that point in moment in the stroke. And I swear by it. It's got 2 tee pegs at the end of it, which show your starting line. So if you're hitting it left, you're pulling your putts. If you hit the right tee peg, you're pushing your putts. And it's great for your confidence. If you can hit 5 or 10 putts that go through the middle and they go in the hole, you only have to put it about 6-7 foot away from the hole. But if you can hit 5 in a row, 4 round, you go out there and you're starting it on your line, and you've got a great lot of bit of confidence built up before a round, or even during practice rounds. But you're right, that can get too much block practice. That can hinder you. So you have to kind of mix it up and say, right, I've done my 5 putts there. Let's go and do 5 separate putts that are different breaking, and let's see if we can hold them. And if you do that, then you're good to go.
Okay. How and would you sort of incorporate, using that Visio putting before every round you play, or?
Yeah, I put it down. I put that down. Well, I get my caddy to put that down, and my putting mirror down. So I'm always visualising, seeing my eyes over the mirror, over the middle of the ball. So I do those two.
Is that tool called my putting mirror?
No, that's just a mirror that I got online. They're everywhere.
They're sort of the alignment one, isn't it?
Yeah, the alignment putting mirror. Yeah.
Is there anyone in particular you use, or?
No, I think there's a couple. I've had a few of them over the years. I had a Yes one, but they seem to break every time we go travelling, and they're in the bag. So, because these bags nowadays just get thrown around on the planes. So, yeah, they're just a standard putting mirror.
Okay. What other sort of routines would you incorporate before playing?
I always have an hour, and that's standard. I go straight to the putting green. I used to be different. I used to finish with putting because I saw Tiger Woods do it. But then I realised that my first shot was always going to be a drive or a 3-wood or an iron. It's, well, not all the time, but sometimes. But that was, and in my head I was like, why do I finish with a putt? Why don't I go straight from the range to hit my first shot? Because then I'll still be warm. I'll still have the visualization of a nice shot on the range at the end. So I do about 15 to 20 minutes on the putting green. And then I go and do some short game stuff, bunkers, chip and runs, chips, pitches, and then onto the range, where I just go through my normal routine of few pitches and then a few full shots with the short irons through the bag to driver, and then I'll finish with the last shot, the first shot I'm going to hit on the course.
So say you go through your normal routine and like it's just things aren't happening, so it's just the ball is going everywhere.
On the range, is this?
Yeah, this is on the range.
Yeah.
What process do you go through to
panic? No, apart from panicking, it's happened a few times. I'm not going to lie, and you go, "Wow, why is this so different to, let's say, the day before or whenever?" I'll get my caddy to have a look. Firstly, have a look at my ball position. Have a look at what he thinks is happening. I have learned over the years what my idiosyncrasies were for hitting bad shots, and I can do it myself. I can kind of analyse myself with what the ball's doing, and I can feel it. But then I might get him to video one from down the line and face on, just so I can see on camera, because I film my swing quite a bit. Film it on camera and then go back into it and maybe slow it down, or try and do something different that I wasn't doing properly before.
Right, so you're re-engineering the whole process.
Yeah, I think if it's going that badly, you can go, right, I need to start again. What am I doing wrong? What is the ball flight telling me? What is my divot telling me? Yeah.
Would there be like a certain point through the, your routine when you would start that? Say if you hit, I don't know.
It would have to be bad. It would have to be. I'd have to be hitting it really bad. But again, I think you can gain confidence by just a few little things, like a few pitches. Just hit the right pitches, get the right connection and stuff.
So you look for those like small early wins.
Yeah, just the small. Yeah, exactly. Just to build the confidence up a bit. Just like the 3-4 foot putts. If you roll them in a few times and hear the ball going in the hole, then you build a bit of confidence up, and then you can make it a little bit tougher for yourself.
Opposed to going onto the range and hit a 1-iron.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few people do that before, especially club golfers at my golf club, where they come in, they get straight out the car and they pull out their driver straight away and just think that it's the thing that they're going to smoke one straight down the middle. It's very difficult to do that, I must say. Even the best golfers in the world can't do it.
I think that's super interesting. And just just hitting, say, a couple of 2-3 foot putts, makeable putts, hearing it go in. You get those early wins, bit of boost of confidence.
Yeah, I got taught a really good lesson from a putting coach of mine back, I think when I was 13, 14. He said, never do a putt that you don't think you can hole. So if you're going to if you're trying to practice your lag putting, just don't aim at the hole. Aim somewhere else rather than a hole, because you want to hole everything basically. Every time you're on a green, you want to hole something. So don't go and do a 15-foot putt with a massive sloping breaker as your first putt. Because it's tough. That's a tough putt. Give yourself an easy one, 3 or 4 foot putts, and then work to the 15-footers.
No, that's great advice. I love that. That's really good. I always remember when of course, you played in America yourself at a college level, and I always remember walking down the range at like a college tournament, and I would be so put off by these American college kids just bombing it 300 yards. Yeah, it would sort of make me want to cry before I even got to my wedge, wedge shots that it'd be like the sort of Tin Cup scene when he's sort of toe shanking them across the range. So I certainly went through phases when I wouldn't even watch competitors even hit a golf ball throughout an entire round, and I have to ask them, what did you get on the end of the hole? Because it was, I think it was the intimidation thing. Yeah. Have you ever experienced that? Because obviously, the people you're up against week on week are, you're playing against the best in the world. So
yeah. I've been through it, especially in America I wasn't a massively long hitter, but I was trying to hit it that hard and try and get it out there when these guys are just effortlessly just smashing it 320, 330 yards down the range and stuff. And it is intimidating. It is. It has to be, because you go, how am I going to beat this guy? But luckily, over the years, you come to realise that you can't control what they're doing. You can only control your own golf ball, and you can't control their score. You can influence it by playing good golf, but you can't control what they're going to do with that. So I've been fortunate to play with Callum Shinkwin up at Moore Park, who's European Tour star. He's hits it an absolute bomb. So I'm lucky enough to play with him a lot, that I know that he's very long. So there's not going to be many longer than him. And I'm used to that now. I'm used to being a bit behind him. I'm used to having to hit one more club on a par 3. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if my ball goes closer. It doesn't matter what club you hit.
And you have the similar score at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, there was a great story. I think our college coach was trying to select the team for a tournament, and I sort of smashed every bit of a drive 240 down the middle, and and the teammate I was with, I think plonked it 310, and he sort of made a point to me. He said, you're coming in with driver off the deck with this second shot into a par 4, and your teammate is coming in with an 9-iron. If you put 10 balls in every situation, who's gonna win at the end of the day? And I said, well, that's a fair point, but I guarantee you I could chip and putt better than him. Yeah. So I guess you sort of you build your strengths around.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, look at Jim Furyk. I mean, there's a load of guys on tour that just play their own game, and they're amazing at it, and they don't have to change anything. Luckily, I'm fortunate enough to I've got some speed, I've got some power, so I still get it out there. I'm not going to be a Dustin Johnson, I'm not going to be a Rory McIlroy, but I've known now that if I can get it in the fairway and I can get it on the green, I can putt as good as these guys, if not better. So that's where my strength is, and that's why I seem to have won quite a few tournaments, because at the end of the day, the best putter normally wins the tournament, and it's a proven fact. There's only a few ever that have won tee to green, maybe because the greens are so slopey, but yeah, putting is for me is the key.
Do you use any sort of I know A-line has been quite a big thing on sort of Challenge Tour and it's coming into European Tour. Do you use anything like that, or any techniques or any sort of disciplines or routine? You just
no. With regards to like reading a putt and doing all this aim point stuff, I'm not into that. Like, I've been close to going to do it, because sometimes you go through phases where you just can't read a putt or you can't hit it on your line. But I feel it's taken a lot out of the game, the aim point. So I used the green books on the golf course, which show you the breaking putts and stuff. So I used the green books, and that has helped me a lot. Just from, if you don't know, because I only use it when I definitely don't know what the break is doing, so it helps me out a bit. Interesting.
Yeah, the Matt Perry, the guy caddied for at the final stage, he was, the Green Book guys actually knew him because he used to carry around a like a water meter,
right.
And he used to he would go around the greens himself and measure the gradient of them if a Green Book wasn't available at that tournament.
Yeah, that's cool. Like they use like the digital what are they called? Measuring devices. So to get the slopes and stuff.
Is it they charge you for those, right?
They do. Luckily for me, I'm an ambassador for Two Thumb, the grip. There's a picture of myself and Bernd Wiesberger, who's also a two thumber.
When did you move to that?
I was last year, mid-season. They came to me and was like, "You use Two Thumb," and I was like, "Yeah." And I'm basically the only one who uses the original, so the black one so I pistol grip my grips on my putting. And they came to me and said, "Listen, we are in partnership with the Green Book. This is Clear Golf." And they were like, "Would you like to use the Green Book?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I'm fortunate enough to go to every event and have one ready for me.
That is a plus. Because they're not cheap, are they?
No, they're not cheap. I think they range from, because there's different arrows and there's different, if you want the numbers or not, I think they range from about £50 to £80 per event.
It's all these, I think that was the sort of main thing I wanted to dive in with you, was the sort of life on tour. And because there's all these costs for you guys. And, say if you're a 16-year-old kid who wants to be on tour one day, you're living through that. So I was wondering if you could sort of unwrap maybe, like, I don't know, let's start with like the costs of like entering an event to, your hotels, the food. What is all of that like?
Okay, so let's go from let's take an average of last year's events. So I played 3 European Tour events. I played 6 Challenge Tour events, and then I played 9 Alps Tour events. And I think my overall cost for all of those events, so what's that? That's 9, 15, 18 tournaments. I think I had to pay out, I think it was about £38,000.
Wow.
So that's £2,000 an event. Obviously, some were more than others. So like Sweden was very expensive. That was my first ever European Tour event. I went there with my dad, so I paid for my dad.
Your dad didn't pick up the bill?
No, he didn't pick up the bill. He was like, "You've invited me." But I played really nice. I played great for the first 2 rounds. I was in 6th place in my first ever European Tour event and tied with Lee Westwood. So I was like, "Wow, this is special."
Who's Lee?
Who's Lee? Yeah, exactly. And I was just thrown in straight in the deep end. I was lucky enough to get an invite from my now management company, who I went with at the time, Chubby Chandler and ISM, and they were like, "Yeah, just go and give it your best." And I kind of did, and then just the emotions. And this was I think it was my 9th event in a row, so I was pretty tired at the time, and just my emotions kind of like just settled, and I'd kind of peaked a little bit too early, and had a terrible weekend. I shot 8 over the last round, and it was really windy, and my game just wasn't as competitive as I thought it was in the wind, so I struggled and finished about 56th. But in my first ever outing on European tour, I'd take that experience and I'd run with it, because I was in the top 10 after 2 rounds, and now I know that I can go back there and actually give it a good shot, especially this year on the Challenge Tour. So with regards to money, it's expensive. Don't expect it's going to be cheap as chips, because you've got to get to these places. You have to pay for your hotel. Food can be expensive if you want to eat the right stuff. You know, you can have your burger and chips for a tenner, but if you want your grilled chicken with pasta or your rice, it's going to cost more, because that's a premium product, you know, and that's what you have to do.
Do you find accommodation on Airbnb?
You tried last year. You try and make it as cheap as possible. Obviously, the better you get, you hear these guys who are top 50 in the world, they've already got houses set up for them and stuff.
Do their management companies do all of that, or?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they mostly do. They leave their player to
turn up and play.
To turn up and play. So that's what the management company is mostly there for. Like, I'm leaving tomorrow to Dubai to do 2 or 3 days practice before I head down to Kenya for my first Challenge Tour event. And ISM have sorted out the hotel, they've sorted out the flights, they've sorted out the accommodation in Kenya and the transfers and stuff. And so I can just go get to the airport tomorrow, get on the plane, concentrate on practicing, and then concentrate on playing golf when I'm there. So
that obviously comes at a cost you're in, though, right?
Well, I'm still paying for it. I'm paying for their services.
But you outsource all of that. Like, you delegate all of that work, the nitty gritty, to them.
I tell them what I want to do. They get it done. I still pay for it, and then I pay 5% of my overall earnings.
Okay.
And then they take 20%, which is pretty much across the board in every management company. 20% of all the sponsors they find for me.
So they take 5% of
my winnings on course winnings,
and 20% of any sponsorship
that they find, for me.
Have they found any sponsorship for you?
Yeah, they have. I'm this year fortunate enough to be asked to be a part of the class of 17, which ISM started last year and called it, funny enough, class of 16. But they tried it out with the youngsters last year. So this year it's 3 Challenge Tour members, myself, Clement Saudet from France, and Ben Eccles from Australia. And they have found us, I think it's 6 or 7 sponsors that all put in. And I can't dive it too much into the details of the money, but they've found us sponsors this year, and it's great, and it's a massive help. All of it is.
No, that's fantastic. Well,
it means that we can play. You know, we can go out and play and do our job.
I don't think you can go wrong with ISM for sure.
No.
How did that connection come about?
Social media, which is they got in contact. Yeah, it's the way I guess a lot of things are done now. They obviously saw what I was doing, and this was probably my third. After my third win, they were interested, and then I had about 2 or 3 others, and then by the end, before I just signed, I think I had 5 in total management companies, because I had won, 6 in 9 events. A lot of people were quite interested.
Quite high demand, yeah.
Yeah, and I just decided who was going to be best for me when I play really good golf, because you can't just choose a management company if you feel like you're going to play bad, and you say who's going to be best for me, who's going to support me when I'm playing badly. You know, you've got to choose the people because you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to choose the management company. You go, actually, when I perform really well, who's going to help me out the most? And I believe that was Chubby and ISM. And they also showed a massive interest in me. So I felt like I belonged to their stable.
What interest did they show?
They were just like with my family. They were interested in what my family did. They're based in Manchester as well, and I'm a massive Manchester United fan.
Yeah, I noticed the quick message before the call. Manchester United's on at 8:00.
It's on TV right now. So
he's double timing.
If I scream out,
yeah. No, interesting. Yeah, I grew up playing with Chris Wood, and I think he went to ISM originally. I don't know if he still is.
Right.
But
he's with Octagon Golf, I think now, but he might have started out with ISM. Yeah. There's a few that have started out with Chubby, like Rory McIlroy was there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matt Fitzpatrick has moved on now, but there's a lot. They've got a great stable of guys. Interesting.
Who's your caddy, and how does the relationship work with him?
Nick Taylor, his name is. Unfortunately, he's having a baby this year, so he won't be with me as much as last year. But payment-wise, this is another thing that goes on top of what I was saying about payment. He is £650 per round.
Per round?
Straight up. Per round. Per tournament, sorry.
Okay,
well,
all right.
Yeah, I was going to say.
If you want to, if you're looking for a new caddy, I can. I'll give you mates rates.
Yeah, he's £650 per tournament, and that is basic, and that's very cheap as well for caddies. But he wanted to take a punt on me, and he seems to be very happy with what we're doing. So, and then it's 5% of any earnings, and then 7.5% of any top 10 and 10% for any win. So it's like a win bonus. And we got our first win last year, so he was very happy with that little bonus.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Say if you win a tournament, your cost could be, say, £2,000,
yeah.
Give and take, plus minus 15%.
Yep.
And then minus tax.
Yeah,
and then
tax,
and then the rest is yours to keep.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Because I think most people would be listening to this would be thinking, they see the big paychecks on the European tour. I mean, obviously, like the week in week out guys like Westwood, Rory, it's not a problem at all. But it's like the actual net or what you take at the end of the day.
Yeah, you got to remember with these guys, they've probably got win bonuses from their sponsors, and at the moment I don't have that.
How does that work?
So say, what should we say? Lee Westwood and AP, Audemars Piguet, the watch company. He may get a win bonus. So if you win, because he's showing their company on his sleeve.
Yeah.
He might get a win bonus for that. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but that's somewhat what works. And I mean, these guys, they don't need any. They can give money away, and they've still got loads anyway. But with regards to where I am, you do give away quite a bit, but that's what you got to sacrifice to get to the top level. You need to say to yourself, right now, this money that I'm getting in isn't a massive amount. It's helping me along. It's not a massive amount, but in the future it could amend to something huge,
Absolutely, yeah.
So for now, it's like comfortable. It's okay. I don't mind giving away what I need to do to be able to get to the top.
If you don't mind me asking, what does I think I've seen you hold many of these checks out just from your social media. It's like the Happy Gilmore scenes.
Yeah, I do get some of those huge checks.
Yeah, just give me one of those big ones. Do you actually can you keep them?
I don't know. I don't know if they fit in my hand luggage though. That's the thing. So I'd have to cut them in half.
I would definitely pay first class postage for that.
To get one of I didn't do that once. I didn't win and then bump myself up to first class, because again, it's extra money, and it's not like I'm earning hundreds and thousands of pounds. Last year on the Alps tour, there were a few events that were €10,000 for the winner, but mostly they were about €6,500 for the winner. And
you're on the Challenge Tour this year?
Yeah.
Is that through the Alp Tour?
Yeah, if you finish in the top 5 of the Order of Merit, you get a Challenge Tour category, which is category 13.
Okay, so this category business, I was having...
it's a nightmare, isn't it?
Oh, just the worst. I don't think anyone even realises it, especially most amateurs. They think European Tour School, you get your top 25 and you're in, maybe. Yeah. I was having lunch with Laurie Cantor in Spain.
Yeah.
At the final stage, and he was talking me through the process of how he was turning up to events on the European Tour all around the world, and
not in.
And he wasn't even getting in.
Yeah.
So, can you explain the category process of how it works? Because
the easiest way, without trying to get too technical, is that the categories are based on either previous years, or they're done on what you've successfully done over like periods of time. So, say with Q school, qualifying school, which you went to, if you get your top 25, I think you might get category 8 on the European Tour. So you've got 7 categories above you where people will get in front of you for the tournament if they choose to play.
And there could be God knows how many players.
There could be 20 per category.
Right.
So if they all turn up, like in a Ryder Cup year, when a lot of players would turn up to events because they need to, you'd struggle to get in. So I've got category 13 on the Challenge Tour, which means there's 12 categories above me. So I think category 12 is for the players who made the cut at final stage. So they have a category above me, which I kind of don't understand, but I guess it is because that's one event and I've done it over a course of the whole season. So it's not really giving much chance to the guys who have a great year instead of the guys who have a great week, one great week. But it is what it is. And then there's loads from the year before. So you've got the guys who kept their card from Challenge Tour, the guys who came down from the European Tour, their category will be above yours or above mine. So there's loads of different things. It is very complicated, but all you need to know is that there's a few chances that you might not get into an event, even if you've entered it and you think you've got a full Challenge Tour card.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I think that's like the underground of the business that I don't think people see.
Yeah.
How many people are allowed to play in a tournament?
Kenya next week is 150. So there's quite a few, and then there's obviously a 70-man cut, 60-man cut, 65-man cut, 60, something about that. Hopefully I won't be near the cut mark, so it won't matter.
Yeah. And obviously I just can't remember if it was someone was telling me this. It was, they said, I don't know if this is true, or they said maybe it was almost better to be a really exceptional player on the Europro Tour than the Challenge Tour, because the Challenge Tour was almost like there's so many good players on there. Yeah.
Well, the Challenge Tour is obviously a step up from the Europro. The Europro and the Alps Tour are so-called satellite tours. They are the equivalent of each other. So, of course, you want to be a great player on the Challenge Tour. Much better than being on the Europro, because everyone on Europro is trying to get to the Challenge Tour. And then so forth. Like, you want to be a great player on the Challenge Tour, but you also want to be a better player on the European Tour. That's where you're trying to get to. It's a feeder tour.
Yeah.
Challenge Tour is going to be tough. There's going to be loads of good players, but again, you've got to concentrate on your own golf and just do your own thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the goal for this year?
I try not to set myself too many goals, because then you can only be set out to kind of like not really achieve them if you don't do the right things. So my ultimate goal is to play really good golf, and I know if I do that, then everything will take care of itself. I want to stay healthy. I want to stay fit. I want to be able to play. I hopefully won't get any injuries, touch wood.
Yep.
And then if I play really well, I will make that top 15 on the Order of Merit, which is what I need to do to gain my European Tour card. And that's it, really. So my ultimate goal there, in a nutshell, is just to play really good golf.
There's that's quite refreshing, because I think everyone, certainly in this day and age, is very goal driven, or I've got to reach this benchmark by this time, and it could almost be setting pressure. Yeah, it's unnecessary pressure if you do that.
I learned a few years back not to post any like pictures mid-tournament, of, say, if I'm leading a tournament after day one, because it's unnecessary pressure that you're adding on yourself, and you're kind of going, here, look, everyone, look at me, I'm leading a tournament after day one.
I do notice something, Matt. You certainly post those pictures on day 4.
Yeah, they're fine.
Holding those big checks.
They're fine. Take those pictures and show everybody that, and say, look at me, look at my success.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Thank you, everyone, for being there for me, sort of thing. But day one, and you're leading, don't put up a post, because it's unnecessary pressure. You're saying to people, come and look at my round, and then you go and shoot 80, and you're like, oh God, I just told everyone to look out for me. It's unnecessary pressure. You don't need that. And yeah, you're right. In this day and age, like, there's a lot of goal-driven people, or in businesses, you go, right, if you hit this mark, I will give you a bonus. So that's people's goals. Where I go, if you didn't have that and you just worked your nuts off, you'd smash that by a mile. You don't need to do that.
No, I think that's really interesting. I think it's a total refreshing attitude, because it's all, I don't know, like we're in a period of where 30 years ago, 20 years ago, our parents or that era didn't have the access to post information online, get instant gratification on on a success, or
exactly, yeah.
And now we have access to that, and being able to control that, that sort of like the mini ego inside you is I mean, if you can control it in good, you can control it in bad ways. And I think there's an author called Scott Adams. He did some cartoons about I think it's called Dilbert or something like that. I'll put it in the show notes, but he talks about system goals opposed to having goals.
Right.
For example, you could set like if you're a college golf coach in America, say Stanford, you could say, we've got to win the D1 NCAA championships. That's the goal. That's the benchmark. Or you could set a system where it could be everyone practices every day.
If you do this right, yeah. If you do this right, then this is the outcome.
Yeah, it's like if everyone turns up every single day,
yeah,
the goal will take care of itself.
Yeah, I heard a really funny story from a friend of mine who played for Chelsea at the time, and he said this is when Jose Mourinho came into the dressing room his first year, and he said, if everyone in here follows me and does what I say, you will be champions of the Premier League on this day. And lo and behold, they followed him and they were champions on that certain day. So it's system. It is a system. Like, if you do the right things, then the outcome will happen. You just need to stick by it and don't have these unnecessary pressures of a goal,
Yeah, no, I think I'll tell you a story as well. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but of course we met on the Swift store.
Yeah.
If you remember the one tournament we lost, I think we played 20 matches in 21 days all across the east coast of America, and there was one tournament we lost. It's probably like the 5th round we played or something like that. I think you shot a 69, and you lost because the other guy shot like a ridiculous 66 or something like that.
Yeah.
And when the whole team finished, we were like, all of us were sitting around the green, just relaxing. I think drinking some like
Arnold Palmer's.
Oh yeah, that's right, Arnold Palmer's. I was gonna say Long Island iced teas, but those are extremely alcoholic.
Yeah.
And all of us were sat around this 18th green just chatting, but there was one person missing, and that person was you, because you went to the driving range and you went to work on your game. I don't know if you remember that.
I can't remember, no. But that sounds quite cool.
That was his little story where, we had, we had Rafferty, we had Faldo's Kennedy, who couldn't find a fairway to save his life. But, you were the one guy who went out to practice when you failed, when we all failed. And I think obviously that says something about where you are today, compared to all of us hacks.
Definitely. Like, I wasn't a pro then. I wasn't a pro then. And I'd only say I've probably become a real professional of the game in the last 2 or 3 years. I was an amateur, like back in those days when what were we, 17. So 26 now, and I've finally become an actual adult and trying to take this as my profession. Like my mum and dad say, this is my job. I need to do like the 9 to 5 stuff. But I always say to myself, I'm not going to leave the putting green or the range or the chipping green until I've got it right. You don't give yourself time limit. Don't say, all right, I'm going to go and do half an hour there. This is my my little thing for junior golfers who want to become really good at golf. Say you're 15, 16, when you want to try and change something. What would I have done differently if I was telling myself now, if I was 15, 16, I was like, don't give yourself time limits on the range. Just go out there, work really hard until you get it right, until you're satisfied. Because I can't live with myself if I leave the range and I've hit it poor, I come off there going, there's another guy practicing and he's getting it right. So let's get it right before we can go home. And then you normally get it right within the next half an hour, because that's the pressure. That's where you start really focusing and concentrating. And then you go home, you actually feel like you've done something proper. So that's my little thing for the future golfers, for the future Tiger Woods.
Yeah, absolutely. That inner drive, I mean, where does the inner drive for you come in? Or
I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's
because you played all the sports. You were cricket, rugby, tennis, everything.
Yeah, I did everything. Both my parents are PE teachers, so I had sport in me from a very young age, and I just did everything. So I've always had the competitiveness, but golf is a very lonely sport, so you have to find it yourself. And I think failure is my biggest drive. I just don't like losing. I hate losing. I hate failing. I hate hitting bad shots, which I'm sure a lot of people who are listening do. But it's having that drive and having that, right, I want this to go right. I want to go to a tournament and feel satisfied after it, So that's where I use for my my drive when I'm on the range or on the putting green and stuff. Getting out of bed in the morning, that's what I use to get out of bed early doors.
The fear of failure? Or?
Yeah, the fear of failure, really.
What is failure for you?
Not playing well. That's it, not playing well. Because you can play well and not win. You've just been beaten, which is fair enough. But it's the not playing well bit. Everyone doesn't play great all the time, but it's I've played with a lot of good players over the years, and you just go, wow. They like even on their off day, they're really good. So that's where I'm striving to get to.
The not playing well bit.
Yeah, not playing well, but scoring, but still scoring well. You can tell when someone isn't quite on, but they're still managing to hit really good shots. You know, when they're not quite on it. I'm fortunate enough to actually have quite good ability to score, to get the ball in the hole in the least amount of shots as possible. And sometimes some people can strike it really well, but struggle to score, you know. But I'm lucky enough to be able to score. But my fear is playing badly and then scoring badly, you know. That is the worst. You come off the golf course and you just feel like, wow, put all that effort in, and this is what I've got to show for it, and it's not very good.
Yeah, I think that's where golf can be a very non-rewarding game. I remember I got obsessed with playing the piano in my second and third year in the States, because like golf isn't linear. You know, the more time you put into it, you don't get better with the more time.
No.
But if you sit down on a piano for an hour every night,
you probably can.
You can guarantee yourself at the end of the month you're going to be a better pianist than when you first started.
There's that thing of, do you practice hard or do you practice smart? And I think there's a combination. Like, I practice really hard, and then sometimes I lose the practicing smart bit. So you don't gain anything. You're just grinding really hard. So you always have to have a certain aspect that you're working on, a certain outcome that you want to happen. So say with me, I'm pretty much always working on my technique because I have a new coach. Who
is your coach? Sorry,
his name's Matt Belsham, and he's got this little guy that he coaches called Alex Noren, who's 11th in the world.
Never heard of him.
Alex has been seeing Matt now, I think maybe a year or so, and Matt's had an amazing stable of guys. He's still got some really good players, and I started seeing him 2 years ago. Just word of mouth. I had a few people who were seeing him that I knew, and then I know a few people that were seeing him and they posting up Instagram pictures, and they had just these most amazing swings, and I go, wow, I'd love to swing it like them. And I see him now, and I'm nowhere near what these guys swing it like, but I know more about the swing, and I know more about my own swing, so I can decompose it and then like work out what shot I need to hit and stuff like that. So I'm always working on technique at the moment. And that's what I sometimes do on the range, you know, always concentrate on an outcome of what I'm trying to do.
I guess like coaches are very personal. They're almost like a friend or loved one, because you're really like you're trusting, you're almost handing over that trust.
Well, it's your everything. Livelihood. Yeah, it's your job, and you've got some guy telling you who you have to believe in. Some guy telling you that this will work for you. This will make the ball do this if you do this. And you go, right, okay, I'll go and work 6-7 hours a day doing that, and hopefully it'll come off. And it doesn't always go right, but if you trust them, then you just got to stick by it, you know, and then you will see the right outcome.
Yeah, no, I think I told you before we this conversation tonight that I started having lessons with Oscar Sharp.
Yeah.
And I mean,
who I was surprised that he wasn't playing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if you typed in Oscar Sharp golf, that you would see articles that would relate him to Tiger Woods and all of this.
When he was 13 or so, yeah.
Yeah, and It was I can recall there was 2 tournaments I played with Oscar when I was 13, 14, and I luckily say I was privileged to play with Oscar because it was almost playing like with Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about it was Tiger-esque, and he won the McGregor Trophy. I mean, the short game shots were. They still put my hair on shivers. And they were just absolutely disgusting. It was the best way of putting it. And I started having some short game lessons with him. And when you meet someone with a talent or a coach where you think, this is right. Do you ever feel like, I wish I was learning this 10 years ago when I was 10?
Yeah.
Because then where would my game be right then? And that was the feeling I had with Oscar the other night when we had our first lesson together. And I don't know if you felt the same with a coach or because they've all got their own methods, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Everyone's different. Like Matt is very much Mac O'Grady. Who was an amazing swinger of the golf club and played PGA Tour, Canadian Tour. He actually tried to play a tournament left-handed because his left-handed swing is unbelievable. It's like identical to his right-handed swing. So you should definitely look him up. He's quite cool. But it's Mac O'Grady type stuff. So set positions in the swing, which I love because then it's like my putting stroke, my putting mat. Training aid is set positions. It shows you where you should be, where the club should be, where you should be positioned in the body. So I like that. But I've gone through how many 4 or 5 coaches in the last 5 years, and I finally
you've changed quite a few.
Yeah, I did change because
who did you have previously?
I was putting in a lot of work. I was seeing a coach called Hugh Marr, who's got a lot of players on tours. I think he's now coaching Chilborn Ollison and Ricardo Gouveia, as well as James Morrison and Anthony Wall. I know he was coaching them at the time. So I saw him. He's down in Surrey. Great coach, amazing short game. Just didn't really click, like I was working really hard and just stuff didn't happen. Like I lost tournaments in the final round, and it wasn't to do with any of my mental game. It was all to do with technique because I felt great. So I knew something had to change. So I knew I needed to change my technique for it to be reliable under pressure, say the last hole of a tournament when you're leading. So I managed to change that. I'm now seeing Matt, and it's testimony to him. Like I won 6 events last year.
How long did it take you when you were like, enough is enough? Because obviously, you see like Tiger Woods stick with Sean Foley.
I remember exactly where it was. It was in Italy, a golf course called Pintina. And I was 6 under on the last round, and I was leading. I was a couple groups ahead of the final group, but I was leading with 1 to play. And I've hit drive everywhere all day, and I've even hit driver where there's out of bounds both sides, left and right. And I've threaded the ball in the fairway all day long. And then I get to the last hole feeling absolutely great. Like, right, it's driver again. Let's smash it down the middle. And it's a relatively wide fairway. And I've just spooned it out to the right, and it's hit a tree and then gone out of bounds. So I lost the tournament. I made double bogey and lost the tournament by 1.
Right.
And that was in the middle of 2015, I think it was. And then I said, right, that's it. So I stopped seeing a coach for about 4 months, and then went to Q school.
How come you stopped him on literally basis on that shot? Why? Because
we didn't work on any technique stuff, and I just didn't feel comfortable with what we were going through. He told, I don't want to talk too much in detail because I don't want to badmouth him because he's such a great guy and he's a really good coach. But just things weren't working. We weren't working on the technical stuff that I wanted to do. And I just couldn't see myself getting any better if I was staying there. I've seen him on tour quite a bit, and we get on well. We say hello to each other. But it's the same as my coach from my golf club, Moore Park. I was seeing a guy called Rob Darwin, who is the head coach at Moore Park, who's a great guy, really good coach. But just I was working hard, and just something didn't happen. Like, I was doing the stuff he told me to, and I just couldn't see the results. So I'd say I haven't worked harder in the last 4 years on any different coach. I've worked the same, as hard as the same. It's just I've learnt more, and now I've got a coach who I can relate to, and I actually like the stuff that we're working on, and my swing is getting better because of it.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad you found...
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and of course, like anyone that's gone before you have probably taught you valuable lessons along the way as well.
Yeah, massively.
You almost have to go through those periods to sort of make you, or it's all along the same path for you finding the person you need to find.
Yeah, you need a good team around you. You need your family to support you, your friends to support you. I'm lucky enough to have a girlfriend at the moment. In the last 2 years, we've been together. She's gone through a few downs, but she's mostly been through the ups, and like, I'm really happy outside the golf course, and I know that helps my golf when I'm playing. That I know that I can, when I get off the golf course, if it's a good or bad day, I can call her up and have a chat, and it doesn't have to be about golf. So she's great, and last year was no real surprise that I played so well, because I was so happy off the golf course.
And does she travel with you to?
She's come to a couple, but she's still at university, so it's hard for her to get away.
Okay. And I was going to ask you, like, what is the sort of downtime for you after your a tournament? What do pros do after they've finished? Do they sit on the beach all afternoon, or?
Some of them do. Yeah, some of them do. I'd say I'm not in that sort of area where I feel like I can relax. I can do stuff that I enjoy. I sometimes go down to the beach. I'm not going to lie. I sometimes go down, but mostly I am when I'm at a tournament, I'm there to do a job. And let's say if I'm working on stuff, I'll be working on the range. I'll be putting. I enjoy that as well. I enjoy putting myself under pressure. I like giving myself drills to do on the putting green and stuff like that. I'm a competitive guy, so I don't mind doing that to myself. And then I sleep better at night. I used to be terrible at sleeping in tournaments. Like, I'd get nervous. So I found out a way not to be nervous is to work hard, and then I go to sleep, and I sleep really well.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Mm.
What about evening meals? What is
It's difficult. It's difficult because you're in different countries and you don't know where you're eating. Like, Italy is an amazing place for food. I love Italy. I always love going to Italy because you can kind of rely on having great food. Your pastas, your pizzas sometimes.
Do you go out with other tour players, or do you just go?
Yeah, I go out with some of the guys.
Any names?
My roommate Tom Shadbolt. He's a really good player. We've been on the same tour. We started the Alps tour together 3 years ago, and then we got off the Alps tour together, which is quite cool.
Was he part of the England squad with you?
He was at the time, yeah.
Do you know Gary Smith?
I don't.
We're having Gary Smith on the show in a couple of weeks. He's a short game expert, which I couldn't recommend more enough. Him and Oscar, two hands in hands. But yeah, I know you, Brian Hemmings. You've had
yeah, psychologist, yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of time to fill after you finish the tournaments, but
there are, but there's always stuff to work on. But there are times you need to back away from it. You've got to have a good balance. You need to be able to come home and chill, see your friends. I love going out for dinner. I love drinking my wine. I love to...
Red or white?
I'm a red man.
You're a red man, okay.
I'm a red man.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's taken me to a few vineyards and we've done some wine tasting and stuff. And that's what I'm looking forward to the older I get. Like, maybe at tournaments, actually going visiting other places and other vineyards and going out there and trying different wine. You know, that's something that interests me.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
You could have like your O'Neill's wine collection.
Yeah, or Luke Donald. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. The world is completely your oyster.
That would be the goal. That would be the massive dream.
Not the Masters or the Green Jacket.
Yeah.
The wine label.
My own wine.
Yeah. Wallace wine. You could
I'd like to drink my own wine when I get my Masters jacket or the Open. Drink it out of the claret jug. That would do. I
think if you were drinking your own wine out of the claret jug,
I might have done something before.
You've hit the big time, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be superior envious of you.
Yeah. I'll invite you around. I'll invite you around to drink it out with me.
Well, that's very kind of you. I would certainly take you up on that. I want to be appreciative of your time. So I think the last thing I want to pick up on is the gym work.
Yeah.
I know you work extensively through chiropractic.
Yeah, I got chiropractor who are actually some of my sponsors as well. So they help me out massively. I've always had
Who are they?
They're Northwood osteopaths.
Okay. And they work with quite a few tour players.
They've got a few golfers, but they've got like dogs who go to Crufts. They've got tennis players,
superior dog athletes.
Superior dog athletes. Yeah. Horses and stuff. They got numerous things. There's two guys, Jason and Matt, and I knew Matt very well from my old boys' school days, and he came to me and was like, "I want to help out. I want to help you out." And I was like, "Well, this is amazing because I've had osteos and masseuses over the years, but these guys I can see every week, and I'm in tip-top shape at the moment. My neck is in great shape. I've had trouble with my neck over the years, but my neck's really good. I actually saw them today, and I'm ready to go for next week."
I'll find a link for them and put them in the show notes. Is that what was wrong? Where was the neck coming from? Is that from golf or sleeping? Or
yeah, golf. I think it's a bit of everything. Golf, we hit shots. We just hit numerous shots, and it's the same way. I think it must have been Gary Player who said we should always do as many left-handed shots as we do right-handed because then it's matching up.
Yeah. I'll tell you, sorry to butt in. I actually had a chiropractic appointment in San Francisco where I lived for a couple of years, and he did an x-ray scan on my body, and he found, like, if you took the posture of a golf swing, my posture, my spine angle was the posture of a golf swing. Yeah. So,
I bet you picked up on it straight away as well.
He did. He said, "You play golf?" And I said, "Yeah." And chiropractic wasn't. We had a chiropractor in our first year in North Carolina, and the way he sort of ripped my neck off, like a sort of like a zombie apocalypse. I was like, "You're never seeing me again." But I think I don't know if I saw the wrong guy but the left-handed swing, or the continual strain on one side of the body.
Yeah. You've got to be careful, especially in England when it's so cold. You need to be warmed up and stuff. You need to be prepared because your body isn't supposed to swing a golf club at 120 mile an hour.
Or 96.
Or 96, yeah. For your sake.
For most mortals.
You've got to keep in tip-top shape and be healthy and be strong, because everyone wants to get out there and play good golf. Everyone wants to play when the weather's out, when the sun's out, So
what do you do? Any drills when you're in hotels to replicate what he works with you? Or
I'm mostly ice. I just pop some ice and get the inflammation down, and That seems to help me out.
Ice bath?
Not ice bathing, because I don't have enough ice, really. Or sometimes I don't have a bath when I'm
right.
away. But icing my neck with just get cubes from the bar and put it in a plastic bag or something, and then just have it on for 5 minutes, and then put a hot flannel on for 5 minutes, then put the ice on again. And it seems to work for me, so I found that that works.
There's you should surely find the ice machine in the hotel lobby, or opposed to asking for a cube of ice at the bar
and then just jump in it.
Yeah. We used to do a thing at college called tipping, and we used to get in all sorts. You would find the ice machine on the hotel. When you go to a tournament, you often be an ice machine in one of these floors, and we would find it, and we'd fill the entire bin's worth of water and ice, and we would lean it against one of our friendly oppositions that were playing that week on a door, and we would knock Ginger. They would open the door, and like 500 gallons of water would just distill through their bedroom, which would often get us in much trouble. But anyway, I want to be appreciative of your time. So I think this was fantastic. I think there's so many lessons which people can take away from this, and I know that you have like sort of one action challenge of what you recommend, or sort of most amateurs or golfers to work on, that you maybe work on yourself. Like one takeaway, and maybe what that would be.
Well, I was thinking about this, and it was a tough one because I've got a few that.
Few is good.
Few is good, but I would like to just have one thing that I'd say to amateurs if they're going to go out there on the range, because that's where most people spend their time.
Yeah.
They tend not to go to the putting green because they like to hit the ball as far as they can, So when they go to the range, I'd say with your targets, always have a set target. Don't just hit a ball and not watch it go, not watch it fly. Stay in your finish position, stay in your pose, hold it until the ball lands. That tends to help your strike. But yeah, always have a set target you're aiming at. And then with the driver, if you want to put yourself under a bit of pressure, give yourself a fairway. So put the two flags that are in the driving range. Have the two flags and say, right, I've got to land 5 balls within that section before I leave tonight. Then there's your pressure, and it's easy.
And you can leave once you've done the 5. Or
once you've done the 5, you can go home, and then you've actually got a bit of self-accomplishment, and you've had the pressure. So then when you go to the course the next day or at the weekend, you can relate back to what you did on the range, like that midweek. You can go, wow, right, I've done that. I can be confident with my driving this weekend.
Fantastic. And then the holding the pose, is that more of like not rushing and slowing down?
Yeah, not rushing. Don't just hit a ball and then just flick another one underneath you and then hit another one. That's not how golf is played. You can be unhappy, but you need to reset. You need to clear your mind. Just relax and go again the next shot.
Fantastic. Well, Matt, thank you so much for this. This is honestly, this is the first. You are the first guest of the show, and I don't know why I reached out to you as number one, but
sounds good.
This has been absolutely fantastic. If anyone can sort of reach out and follow you, or where they can connect with you online, is there anywhere where you sort of post your latest result?
My Twitter is Matt SJ Wallace.
Okay.
At Matt SJ Wallace. So I'll post on there my results and stuff. But you can follow me on the Challenge Tour this year, which is on the European Tour app. And Instagram. I don't know what my Instagram is, but Matt Wallace, it'll be somewhere there.
I'll find it and I'll put it in the show notes. And all of the golden gems and extra goodies that we've included in this episode, I will put in the show notes at makingaclubchampion.com.
There we go. And then get them to write in and say, I listened to Matt Wallace and that helped, and look at this, I'm now club champion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If anyone, let's do the challenge. If you can write in and leave a comment on if you did hitting, say, 5 shots down the target line, and what you felt of that as an exercise.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Matt, thank you very much again, and best of luck for this year.
No worries. Thank you very much.
You'll do fantastic. I think your attitude and everything you do is remarkable and admiring. So we wish you just the best.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Okay. Take care, Matt. And hopefully we'll have a game soon.
Cool. Will do.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks again for listening to Making a Club Champion podcast. If you love the show, don't forget to leave a review. If you want to take immediate action on what you just learned, head over to www.makingaclubchampion.com, where you'll receive your own personal action challenges from the latest guests, all of the show notes, strategic philosophies, and much, much more. If you want even more from the show, head over to Instagram at makingaclubchampion, where you'll receive lots of golden nuggets and gems and goodies. Until next time, thanks for listening.